Who remembers the BJ and Bill show all those years ago on WOLZ? Well, many have said they missed the show, and guess what? They're back. Welcome to the BJ and Bill podcast.
Welcome to BJ and Bill, the podcast, a part of the Podcast Playground Network. Please give us that 5-star review, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you get all of your favorite podcasts. And of course, follow us on Facebook, BJ and Bill, the podcast. And you can always email us, bjandbillthepodcast@gmail.com, as we welcome you to episode number 26.
126.
Yeah, that's why I said 100. Well, I guess I said 100. I said it Southern style. 126.
Oh, did you? It sure sounded like 26 to me, but it's okay. It's all right. No worries. No worries. So awesome. Good. Welcome, everybody. It's a Monday morning, and there's no football to talk about.
Well,
we're in the black hole. We're in between.
You know, I hardly ever watch it because I think it's quite boring, but they've changed the format of it. And I actually caught a little bit of the Pro Bowl yesterday.
Oh, did you watch? I thought to watch some of it because I know our boy Baker was there along with a couple of other Bucks, of course. And usually that, you know, they have the Manning brothers coaching against each other. That looked kind of cool. So, but I just saw some highlights on Twitter last night.
It was, you know, when did they go to playing? Because I haven't seen a Pro Bowl in forever.
Right.
But when did they go to flag football?
It's been a few years because they decided they didn't want to get anybody hurt. Although you can still pull something, I guess, running. But anyway, yeah, they didn't want to get anybody damaged. So they went to flag football, which it's dorky. I get it. But it's more of the honor of being named to the Pro Bowl than anything else, I guess. So, but yeah, it's been a few years.
Actually, I only saw like maybe the last half of the last quarter because I was just flipping around and happened to be there. And I got to say, it was more entertaining than I thought it would be.
Okay,
so
that's good.
I was actually saying, gosh, I wish I'd have turned this on sooner.
Well, maybe it'll be on not pay-per-view. Maybe it'll be available on demand on your cable company or something. I'm sure Yahoo TV will have it on my little replay, because I always watch football, so it knows to record football for me or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure it'll show up. So now that you're singing its praises, I'll turn it on later tonight, and I'll watch a bit.
Yeah, it wasn't like really watching a football game.
No.
It was kind of like watching the Harlem Globetrotters play football. And so it was quite entertaining. And of course, you know, the Manning boys made it entertaining too.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was a lot more fun to watch than because, you know, I saw it on the screen a couple times. And I go, well, no, why would I want to watch this? This is stupid. They don't even, you know, I guess even when they were wearing pads, you know, they never really hit hard. And I don't know. It was boring.
That was the point. Yeah. Right.
But it was fun to watch the little bit that I watched yesterday. And I go, damn, I wish I would have watched more.
Okay. Well, good. But I'll keep my eyes open for it.
You maybe had no football. So you were probably bored because there was no sports. But guess what is back? Back for another season. And this was kind of like the pregame, kind of like the warm-up. They call it the Clash. NASCAR, my friends, is back.
Yep, I knew it. I knew you were going to say that because I don't know much about the NASCAR schedule, but I do know that the Daytona 500 is always first thing, like it's in February, isn't it?
Yes, it's like you got the Super Bowl next week.
Right.
And then you got Daytona 500 the week after.
Wow. Look at that. So you go. You're good for the next couple of weeks here. Good for you.
I know. And believe it or not, I have two favorite drivers.
Okay.
In the Clash, my two favorite drivers, my favorite driver first, my second favorite driver second.
Nice.
And I think my third favorite driver got third or somewhere close to that.
Well, good for you. Good for you. And this is it's like the season opener or something like that.
It's like there's no points involved. It's kind of like the All-Star race. There's no points involved, but it's they always have it at least not always, but since they moved it from Daytona, because it used to be like the week before the Daytona 500, you had like 2 weeks, all the cars were in Daytona and all the action was in Daytona.
Right.
Well, the Clash now has been at different venues the last 3 or 4 or 5, kind of like when they changed the flag football for the Pro Bowl, probably about the same time. So this Clash now is usually at a indoor, outdoor kind of, it's always a real short track, like maybe a quarter mile.
Wow.
And so watching these cars on a quarter mile for a race fan, I love a short track. I love a good short track, and it's a short track. So
it's just because there's more wrecks. Admit it. There's more wrecks.
I'm not going to say wrecks, but there's a lot of bumping and grinding. And let's just say this, tempers fly usually during a short track. It's going to there's a good chance somewhere along the way it turns into a hockey game. If you know, you know what I'm talking about.
A little fisticuffs at some point. Somebody takes a swing at somebody. Cool.
Yeah, I didn't see that happen last night, but it came close a couple times.
Where was the race? Do you remember?
Somewhere in North Carolina, some track, that has been around for years that NASCAR hasn't been to in years. So I think it was a wise call. It was in California the last 2 years before this. They had it I don't know, they were trying to change NASCAR for like 2 years because they had it in California. And then, they always do a break. They do 100 laps and then they take a break. And then they come back and do the second half. So they always had like hip hop artists and things like that.
Oh, I remember the big, yes, I remember the big, what would you call it? Brouhaha over that. We're trying to bring rap music to NASCAR fans. That sounds, that just doesn't, if you don't mind the automotive analogy, that sounds like mixing oil and water. It's just not going to work.
That's like giving Beyonce Country Album of the Year at the Grammy Awards.
Wait, did they do that?
Yes.
Did they did that, didn't I? Didn't watch the Grammys.
Yes, they did.
That makes no, all right. I'm not even I can't honestly comment on that because I couldn't pick a Beyonce song out of a lineup if you asked me to. And if you asked me to pick a country Beyonce song out of a lineup, I would put 10 out of 10 times. So maybe it was a good album. I don't know.
I will say this. I heard a few tracks off the album along the way, not during the Grammys.
Right.
And it's all right. But as Rue McEntire said, you can't put a cowboy hat on and think you're country.
Right. I get that. Yeah. So then you do what Garth Brooks does and you wear a baseball hat. But yeah.
Let me tell you, this is just my opinion. I love Beyonce. I like Beyonce music.
Right.
But, the Grammys are voted on by the music industry.
Oh, okay.
The entire music industry.
So it's insiders.
So yeah, and it's more hip hop and pop people.
Okay.
Than it is country people.
Okay.
Now I will give her props. When her album came out, it was #1 on the charts, making it #1 on the country album charts for sales.
Okay.
I will give her that.
Okay.
But on country radio, as far as, the top 40, the highest any of the songs got from her country album was 33. Not even one top 10 on country radio. Not even one top 20 on country radio.
So all these country music program director good old boys were saying, yeah, not on my station.
Yeah, basically that's true.
Basically that's true.
So it never, it never did anything in country radio. And you would think that the album of the year would have done somewhat of a splash on country radio.
kind of weird that it's the number one album, but you never heard any of the singles from it.
Yeah,
That's
like I
weird.
said, I think 2 singles made the top 40, but
Yeah,
maybe
but
like
if they're not in the, but if they're in the, but if they're like you said in the 30s, you're not hearing it all that
yeah,
often,
yeah.
if at all.
So I don't know. If it would have been me choosing, if I would have had a vote, mine would have been for Lainey Wilson. A lot of other country people would have probably, had some other votes in there too.
Right.
But at least I will say this: the new artist of the year. Now that's all genres, though,
Okay.
is on the country charts, and his
Okay.
and his single was number one. That's Shabuzi. Yep, I'm not kidding you. That's his name. It wasn't like a Hank Williams country song,
You think?
but it was a country song and it was number one on country radio.
Okay.
And it was about
Now,
drinking whiskey and being in bars. So okay. At
okay.
least
So
at least he knew what angle to go to use to
so it checked a couple of the boxes.
yeah.
If it would have had pickup trucks and dogs and divorce in it, it would have had them all.
Yeah. So I mean, people in country radio liked it.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
And they
So now
played
you're gonna
it.
make me go. Now you're gonna make me go on YouTube and look up Shabuzi.
Boozy.
And I might just have to look up Beyonce country song just so I can say I've heard one. So I'm not a total loser. Okay.
Now,
All right.
she did do this, and which is surprising that, well, a lot of them were different artists. They weren't even country artists, but some of them were actually country artists she did duets with on this album. But none of those songs, like I said, 33 was the highest she went on any chart in country radio. So
Yeah.
I see the uproar. I understand the uproar. And, the music industry from all genres are the ones that vote.
Right.
And
right.
they
No, I
probably,
understand.
and so, in my opinion, it should have been Lainey Wilson. But, that's as they say about opinions.
Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
That's right.
So that's my take on I watched a little bit of the Grammys,
And the
but
Grammys.
I would only maybe switch it on for a couple minutes during a commercial break
Okay.
when the NASCAR clash was on, because
Oh, it was both. Okay.
I was
Boy,
pretty
that's
well-
a tough job there. That's a tough picture in picture there. NASCAR
Yeah.
and Grammy Awards. That's a tough ask.
I'd go, who's that? Who's that?
Yeah.
I think I've said this before, even on this podcast. I told myself back in the day, back when I first got into radio and I was on top 40 radio, I said, I am going to be hip my entire life, man. I am going to know what is happening in the music scene. I mean, I was bound. I was determined. I knew I was going to know the music scene no matter where it went, how it turned. I was going to know the artist. I was going to be informed. I watched the Grammy Awards and it was like going to a Yankees game during spring training and you're going, who's that?
Who are these people? A long time ago, I remember a conversation, and I don't know if you were a part of it, with our old program director and boss, lovely man, Jim Radford. And he explained it to me. He put it the best I've ever heard it, which is the music you are listening to from maybe 18 years old to maybe 25 to 30 or so. The music in that era is the music that travels with you through life. So you loved it then, you still love it when you're in your 60s, like I am, which is true. And I have found him to be right, because even now, of course, nowadays it's even a meme. If you go on Twitter or X or whatever, you still see posts from people saying, yeah, I was born in 2010, but I'm listening to music from the 80s because it's so much better. So anyway,
Well, I mean, but
Yeah.
music is memories.
yes, that was Radford's point, that the memories that you had there are the ones that come with you.
Yeah, and it sparks memories. Like you might hear a song from, okay, let's just admit it, you and I probably, the 70s was our music.
Pretty much.
We were actually a little pre Oldies 95 in the beginning.
What do you mean pre?
A lot of the music we played on Oldies 95 had more memories with my brother that was 8 years older than me
Yes, a little
than
bit
with
older, a little
than with
bit.
myself.
Yeah, because Oldies 95 was a heavy 60s and a little bit of the late 50s and a little bit of the early 70s. But yes, you're right. And you're right about that the music that we played didn't have the memories that the later 70s, early 80s did for me.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because I graduated high school in 75. So later 70s through college, till I, graduated college in 80. I was on a 5-year plan there. So anyway, so it's right in there. Absolutely. I get
But
it.
yeah, but you hear a song that, maybe you were out with a girl or you were doing something, but you remember that and that memory. So
Sure.
when you hear that song and that memory, boom, man,
Sparks it.
it hits you. Like
Yep.
I worked at Indiana Beach, which was a small little amusement park.
Right.
And there was a upper bar where you had to be 21 to, go up there.
Okay.
And when I worked there, I was not 21, so I could not go up there.
Okay.
But I worked at concessions below it. So I heard all the bands go up there. So like when I would hear something like, Sister Golden Hair, or when I hear those songs, I immediately, like, The Lion Sleeps Tonight. My brain goes to the summer I worked at Indiana Beach.
Nice. Nice.
And it just does. I'm thinking, oh man, I
Sure.
remember I was working at Indiana Beach.
Sure.
When I wasn't working, my parents had a cottage, right there at the beach. So I'd be cruising the beach in their boat, trying to pick up young girls. Of course, I was a young boy at the time, so don't think I'm, 65 years old going, hey babe, how you
Right.
doing?
No, it was all good. It's all
Yeah,
good.
it was all legal. It was all fun. But yeah,
Sure.
I just
Sure.
have those memories of, whenever I hear one of those songs, I think of my summer working at Indiana Beach
Right.
and how much I
Right.
enjoyed that.
Right. 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 And boy, those summers like in late high school and early college days when I would come back to Cleveland for the summer, and I was in Cleveland in the late 1970s, and if anybody was from that area, you knew one radio station, one and one only, and it was WMMS, the Buzzard. And
Now, see,
that was a legendary radio station, legendary. And what they played is what all of their, and they like they found out about Springsteen. They found out about, oh my God. Oh my God. So yes, memories all travel.
I was more, you were Ohio. I was on the west coast of Indiana,
West
northwest
Coast.
Indiana.
Right.
So I was but see, we had two. We had the big 89 WLS Chicago, and we
Chicago.
also had WCFL. So we had two rockers, that,
Right.
you have your little
Right.
push button in your car and you'd
You
be out
betcha.
cruising on a Saturday night. I don't like this song. You'd push the
Yep.
little button and go to CFL. So that's
CFL.
what I grew
I'm
up with.
pretty sure we got CFL in Cleveland, that it came over the lake and into, because we used to listen to, we used to also listen to in Windsor, Ontario, right across the border from Detroit. CKLW.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I spit it out. You would have known it. CKLW. Oh my God. Oh my God. Top 40 rock. Yeah, they were awesome. They were great. We used to listen to them.
Now,
So yes.
also, being in Cleveland, you weren't too far from Fort Wayne. There was also another Clear Channel station over there that I didn't listen to as much, but people would listen to it. Whoa, WOWO.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Fort Wayne,
Yeah.
Indiana. That was like their top 40 station back in the
Yeah.
day.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
It's really funny. Most of the top 40 stations, when you and I were, going to school and maybe early college days, were all AM stations. And now all those big stations, a lot of them are news talk nowadays.
Oh yeah. Well, that's because You can't play music on an AM. You can play music on an AM station. It sounds terrible. Yeah, I mean, when FM came in and you're like, FM, what's that? You had to, yeah, if you were really, really, really a young adopter, you had to have a little adapter.
Converter. Yeah,
a converter for an FM radio. And that was the dumb. That was like UHF channels on TV. What are you talking about?
I remember that I worked at a radio station back in the day of the when FM first started hitting, but everybody had an AM radio in their car. No one had FM.
Nope.
And so we gave away these little converters, these little FM converters. I mean, be caller number 7 and win an FM converter.
You gave them away and you were an AM radio station? Why would you do that?
No. We were FM.
Oh, you were FM, so you gave them away. Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, you got to get some audience out there. Yeah, no, that was, I mean, that was the style. I mean, one of the first places I worked back with my old friend Kent Jones after college, we worked in the tiny town of Owensboro, Kentucky, 4 radio stations, 1 AM FM combo owned by the news, 1 AM FM combo owned by the cable TV company. And the big stations were the AM stations. Absolutely. We were a rock and roll AM radio station. We had a great time. But, the FM was, I think ours was beautiful music, like a lot of them were.
Yeah. Seems like there in the beginning, all FM stations were all beautiful. All the time. We're beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. That was it. And in some markets, like, we used to laugh about it in Fort Myers and Naples and Cape Coral, but even back when you and I lived there, it was still a retirement town with a lot of people of our current age. And those stations made a killing. They made a ton of money. And we were like, who listens to this stuff? And the answer is everybody over the age of 55. So that was our introduction to beautiful music.
Now, going back to music, though, because I kind of like somewhere in the 70s, and I've told the story before, because in radio, we always talk about we're going in a different direction.
Oh, yes. That's I remember, for those who don't remember, that's what they would tell on-air personalities like BJ and Bill when they were about to fire you.
So I was in one of those situations where they were going in a different direction.
Right.
And that's when I was playing nothing but top 40 music. My goal was to be a top 40 DJ, and I was going to work at, nothing but top 40 stations. And that's all. If it was another station, I didn't want anything to do with it. I just worked at top 40 stations. Mm-hmm. And of course, one of the top 40 stations I worked at went in a different direction. And so here I am, a young married man back in my hometown, probably living with my parents and my wife, who knew, I don't know, maybe we found a little apartment somewhere and my parents helped me out. So there was a local radio station and I knew the guy who ran the radio station. My parents knew the guy who ran the radio station, and they said, well, go out and talk to him. I go, no, you don't get it. I don't want to work for a stupid country radio station.
Stupid country.
Yeah. I said, I do not know. I do not work in country radio. I am a top 40 DJ. Well, you're not doing anything now. Go out and talk to him. He says he has a job for you. I don't want to. So I go out and talk to him. And he's saying, I know you don't want to work country radio.
Right.
I know you want to be a top 40 DJ.
Right.
Come to work here, make some money, and then when you do find a job, take it, go to top 40 radio. But in the meantime, come work for me. I said, oh, okay.
I don't know if I've ever heard this station. I don't know if I've heard this story or not.
You've never heard this story?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Well, now that we're not on radio, maybe you have, but now I can use the actual words I used with him. So I said, okay, I'll take it. But as soon as I find a job,
sure,
I'm out of here. He said, that's good. That's okay. That's okay. I know you're not here long term. You're just filling in.
Somebody.
Yeah. So I'm working there and I'm there for about a week. And I walk into his office and I sit down. And I say, "You're not going to believe this, but I'm starting to like this shit."
It got to him.
Yeah. And so there it was. That I was no more a guy who wanted to work top 40 all the time. And that's when my country radio career really took off. And that's where my heart went, with country radio.
Awesome.
Even when I
That's
was
funny.
working OLZ, everybody's, "Oh man, you must love oldies." And I thought, "Yeah, man, this is my favorite music of all time. Yeah, I love this stuff." And I was going, "God, this stuff. I just want to play country again. That's all I want to do. I want to get a job at a country radio station again."
That's funny. That, of course, I didn't have that. That wasn't really a thing for me. I mean, I like different kinds of music, of course, but being the news guy and the whatever, the sidekick guy, it didn't really matter what kind of music the station was playing, because it wasn't, I didn't know any of that. And you and I mean, through the course of things, we've done oldies, we've done not quite oldies, we've done country, we've done, so it's all there. I mean, that's funny though. That's cute. Yeah, it grows on you. You'll learn it. That's for sure. That's for damn sure. So
Now, I will say this, because I come from a small country town, kind of, a lot of country
Right.
people in my hometown.
Right.
And so I communicate
Right.
with them still, on Facebook. And like, okay, even the CMA awards, because a lot of the country artists these days, really, in all honesty, I think country is the new top 40.
I
It's
would
kind of
say
like
so.
a lot of it's ear candy. It's not really country music.
Ear candy. I would agree with that, though. I'm not sure what ear candy means in this case, but I agree with you 100%.
But it's real. A lot of it's real poppy sounding.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, top 40 radio now is more rhythmic and you know more rap even.
Yes.
And so country has also changed. And where I said I didn't know a lot of the artists. Now a lot of my old friends who were country people from the beginning. I mean, I'm even talking to Merle Haggard days and Conway Twitty and all that. They're going, "This is garbage. This isn't music."
Of
Now
course.
I have kept cool with country music. As country music has evolved, because it is my format, I guess, of choice, I evolved with it.
Okay.
And so a lot of this stuff, I will sit there myself and say, "Man, this isn't the country music I remember." But I still like it. I still enjoy it. And I still know who they are.
Okay.
Like
That's fair.
Shabuzi. And I hear Shabuzi on the radio. I go, "This is all right. This is all right." It's not country. No, it's not. But I still enjoy his music. And I like hearing it on country
Right.
radio, even though some people go, "What the hell is this? Isn't it
So-
country music?"
So can you define what makes it country worth, or you listen to it and go, "That's not country"? Or is it just, I can't put it into words, but I hear it. One of those things.
Well, let's just say this. The Shabuzi song is more rhythmic
Mm-hmm.
than it is country. But he does talk about drinking whiskey and being at the club late at night.
Okay.
Got country girls with country cowboy hats on dancing in the background.
Okay.
But
I really got to go listen to this now.
yeah, you got to hear. What is it? The whiskey. You got to hear. He's got two songs out. He's got a new one, but the
Okay.
whiskey one is the one you got to hear. That's the
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I'll do it
I
on the
don't know.
break.
Yes.
I'll preview it on the break and get back to you.
But yeah, I'll admit I like a little Shabuzi now and again. I mix it with my spritzer.
Yes. 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 I actually, there's not much of a story here. I was going to say, I can just cover it now. I actually had my first adult beverage in months in this house. Somebody for my birthday gifted me a bottle of Captain Morgan spiced rum, one of my favorites.
Ooh.
Yes. And so I had to, on my last Publix run, buy myself a 6-pack of Coke Zero, because you got to be healthy when you're drinking your alcohol.
Yeah, no kidding.
So yes, I had a little Captain Morgan and Coke the other night. It was lovely. It was lovely. I'm still never going to be much of a big time drinker, but on a rare occasion, it was nice.
You know, in my younger days,
and yes,
I was a professional.
a professional drinker.
Yeah, and now, oh, let me tell you, I'm I'm not even in the minor leagues anymore.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that would be me. I was never a professional. Of course, in college days, we drank a lot of beer. But you're right. I mean, literally, it's been a couple, 3 years for me that I'm like, people will say, what do you drink? I'm like, I'm not much of a drinker. Okay.
Well,
fine.
Remember, I was in country radio. You almost had to be a professional drinker. I don't know. You may remember this group called Lone Star.
Sure.
I passed out on their bus. Let's just say that.
I'm sure you weren't the first. You
I didn't puke in their bus. I did not puke in their bus.
Good.
But I pretty well stayed in the bus and slept through the whole show while they were in the bar performing.
We are getting some insights on BJ that we've not had in a while on the show here. That's awesome, folks.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Let's take a break. Time to refill the coffee or make that bathroom stop if you have to, folks. You do that, and we will be right back. Welcome back. This is BJ and Bill, the podcast. I'm Bill Stevens. That's BJ Odom. I'm Bill Stevens. Oh, man. Is it a cold? It's not even a cold morning here in Gainesville, and I'm already slurring. Must be bad coffee.
I think it's the spice rum you had a little.
Memories of Captain Morgan. You're right. Anyway, if you would like to leave us that 5-star review, we would love to see it from you on any of the platforms on which you receive your podcast broadcasts. Boy, that was fancy sounding. Wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Apple or Spotify or iHeartRadio or YouTube or whatever, we're everywhere. Leave the review. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can find us on Facebook. Just do a quick search for BJ and Bill Podcast, and it's Gmail's address the same, BJ and Bill the podcast at gmail.com. There you go. All good.
I enjoyed watching Bill's head bob up and down as he was listening to a little Shabuzi as we took the break there.
We took the break. I went to YouTube. I did a quick search. There he was. Shabuzi, a bar song, parentheses, tipsy. And all right. First, I listened. I gave it literally 1 minute and 10 seconds, and I'm back to say I like it. I like it. It's it's good. To me, it's a regular, normal. I'm not going to say normal. What's a normal country song? I don't know. It's a good country song. It's got a good, it's got a good strumming guitar to it. It's got a nice beat. It's got a cute story. I think that's one of the things that separates country music from a lot of other stuff is there's a story in every song, or at least most of the good ones. There's a good story that goes with it. Yeah.
It's actually kind of called storytelling music,
for a good reason. And this does exactly that. So good for him. Good for him.
Number one on the charts, I believe either 4 or 5 weeks. Number one, not on the charts, but at number 1, 4 or 5. And that's unusual in country radio. But yeah, I like a little Shabuzi now and again.
And Grammy, song of the year, record of the year?
No, he was newcomer of the year. New artist. And that was
what the hell is the difference, by the way, in the Grammys? What the hell is the difference between Song of the Year and Record of the Year? Isn't that?
I think Song of the Year is the person who wrote it, and I think Record of the Year is like the song itself. Is this making any sense? It's like the artist.
No, it's not. But
one
it's
is
okay.
Let's just say I don't know which one is which, just offhand. But one is for the artist himself. And the other one is for the writer, not the singer. But sometimes the singer and the writer are the same.
Sure, sure, sure. Unless you're Elvis, who never wrote a song in his life. So yeah, I get it. I do. Okay, cool. I am that. I do. So, and again, it doesn't matter if it's song or whatever. They are different, and that's why. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So anyway, hats off to Shabuzi this morning. So there you go.
New artist of the year.
New artist of the year. I'm going to go listen to some more. I like to think that I'm at least open-minded about that sort of a thing. BJ Odom told me about Shabuzi 20 minutes ago, and I'm like, who the heck is that? Why the heck do I care? And now I'm open-minded enough, open-eared enough and I think that's from our careers in the music business as DJs or whatever, that, you would always, remember back in the day, I'm sure you do, that, the little FedEx package would arrive with some new 45s in it, and you would go through it and see if there was anything that was interesting or you wanted to put on the radio. So, yeah, I'm open.
Yeah, those were the fun days of
certainly
radio.
were.
Back in the days where you would get, you over the week, you would probably get 20 or 30 45s.
Yes.
And for those of you that are younger, these are little round things that you would put on, and then you'd put a needle down and you'd listen to that on a thing called a phonograph.
That's right. And it would play music. Not very high quality, but it would play music.
So what would happen is usually you would have a program director, a music director, and in most cases, we even brought like an office person and maybe a salesperson and maybe somebody, like 5 to 6 people we would bring, in these meetings, and they would usually last an hour.
Right.
Usually like the program director and the music director would actually pick out you probably only add maybe 4 to 6 records a week, to your rotation, but you'd probably bring at least 20 records to the meeting.
Right.
Yeah, you listen to it and you listen to the hook, and then you decide, well, yeah, that could be a hit. Program directors and music directors would make hits.
Yes.
Now it's some corporate bigwig in some office, and he doesn't know shit about music, but he's the one that's making the decisions.
Get around the bush, BG Odom. Tell us what you really think. But you're right. It was so interesting that decisions were made locally by the people in the town, so that maybe the music that was popular in Fort Myers, Florida was not nearly so popular in Gainesville, or vice versa, or, even neighboring towns or something like that. But it didn't matter, because it was your job as the local guy, girl, manager, whatever, to make the decision about what you thought your audience would like to hear.
Let's just talk about a group right now.
I'm all ears.
Styx.
Oh my God. Where did that come from? It's got nothing to do with country music, but I love them.
Okay. This is back. This is back when BJ said, I'm not going to play anything but top 40 music.
Gotcha.
So Styx was a band from Chicago.
Yes.
I worked in Northwest Indiana. So Styx was one of those bands that when they played, people went to the shows. Like,
sure.
Oh my God, Styx is playing. Styx used to play at high schools, people.
They all did.
So like they were out on Wooden Nickel, which was like an independent label, which wasn't one of the big labels.
Right.
That was like their label.
Right.
And I remember Lady was like the #1 song at the radio stations in Northwest Indiana.
There was a while that you couldn't go a day without hearing it a couple of times.
Yeah, but that's when they were on Wood. But in like New Jersey, nobody was hearing Styx.
Really?
Right. And then all of us, because actually Lady came out 2 different times. It was like a #1 hit regionally in the Chicago, even in like Chicago, and
right.
in the suburbs and in different little parts of the Midwest. Styx
right.
was a #1 song, and that was when it was on Wooden Nickel Records.
Wow.
Then they got hit by, then they got picked up by a major label.
Yes.
And Lady became a nationwide hit.
Yes.
But before it was a nationwide hit on a label, it was on a like regional label and became a regional hit. So actually, if you lived in the Midwest, Lady became a hit twice.
I hear you.
And
And
that's
I don't know if I remember that happening in Cleveland when I was young and living there, but it might have. It might have.
I think probably it did. Maybe in Cleveland, it might have got, instead of like number one like it was in the Indiana stations, I'll bet it was still like somewhere in their top 30, maybe hit the
Yep.
top 20.
Yep.
And then it came back like a year later because they were on a major label and it became a national hit. In fact, a girl that I went to high school dated the drummer.
Ooh. Nice. Was that no, I was gonna say Tommy Shaw was one of the guitar players. The DeYoungs there were two brothers, I think.
Yeah,
Dennis
and then I forget what the drummer's name was.
Anyway, but I actually saw Styx like twice in 8 months on two different tours. And to this day, I will still say that probably the Styx Mr. Roboto tour was probably my favorite live concert of all time. And I'm dating myself, and people will go, God, Bill, that's horrible. Didn't you see the Eras tour? No, I never saw Taylor. So, but it was it was amazing. It was almost like full on 2 hour long opera with costumes and lighting and screens and the whole, and I mean, stuff that you take for granted now. But back in the 80s, you went, whoa.
Well, in the 70s, my friend.
Yeah, you're right. It would have been the 70s. Yeah, it would have been the 70s.
But the 70s, that concert that I remember,
yes,
was Yes.
Saw them several times, and I would also agree, one of the greatest of all time. Yes.
All I remember,
yes,
the stage is dark. All of a sudden, the band starts to play. And then like a rose petal rising up from the stage, and it would open. And there he was, Rick Wakeman, on the keyboard.
Trippy. So trippy.
And you'd be going, oh my God. I don't know if it's because I was stoned or what, but that was like one of the coolest concerts I was ever at in my life. Seeing the rosebud come out of the stage and opening, and everybody going, look, Rick Wakeman. Oh my God, that's amazing.
That we call and that was a product. I don't know if WMMS invented progressive rock. No, they didn't invent progressive rock, but they were they were one of the first stations that played all that stuff. And so yes, oh my God, Styx, yes, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Oh my God, saw them in college at Athens, Ohio. Oh my God, it was. My mind is still blown to this day. Now those are some good memories, boy. I'm taking those to my next life. Those are awesome.
I think that might have been that might have been the invention of now you see artists rise and come up from the bottom of the stage. That might have been it, man. Maybe the Yes concert was it, because I never seen anything like, and I'd seen a lot of concerts. I'm going, oh my God, that is so cool.
I remember the thing that blew me away when I saw Styx, because you would always go to the concerts and it would always say like 8 o'clock, and it would be like, okay, we got the opening band, we got blah, maybe they're on, maybe they're late. It takes them an hour to change the stage or whatever. When you went to a Styx show, the ticket was even printed back when we had printed paper tickets that said show starts at 8 p.m. sharp. And you could set your watch by the first note would be 8 p.m. on the button. And I was like so impressed by that. How did they do that? That's awesome. But I'm like, thank you. I love that.
See, back in those days, I didn't know if it was 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock.
You didn't know. Yeah, no, you didn't know. You were too wasted. I know. Yeah. There was a lot of that. There was a lot of that then. Yeah.
I'm going to give a quick plug for another show. Not ours, not yours, not ours.
Not our podcast.
I want to say a shout out to Tom Drake, who gave us a big plug on his show last Saturday. And he says, yeah, you got to catch the BJ and Bill. They're two old radio guys, and they sit there for an hour and they talk about old guy stuff.
Perfect. Thank you, Tom. You got it spot on. That's us.
He does the cruise and travel news with Tom Drake, by the way.
I need to subscribe to that. Thank you for the reminder. I see him on. I see he posts his shows on Facebook all the time, or I see you repost them. I don't know. But
yeah, listen to last Saturday's show. That's where he gave us the big old plug. It was so funny.
I'll do it.
Because I laughed and I go, yeah, that's right. That's what we do. We sat there for an hour talking about old guys.
And I tell people that all the time. People, when people find out I do a podcast, people are like, ooh, wow, a podcast. Really? You do that? I'm like, believe me, it's nothing fancy or special. Trust me. And they're like, what do you talk about? I'm like, it's two old guys just bitching about getting old and music and radio jobs and stuff like that. And health problems, it's just like if you went to, Perkins at 2:00 in the morning and sat there next to a table.
Wait a minute. I need to correct you, Bill.
What?
Maybe back in the 70s, you and I ended up at Perkins at 2:00 in the morning. But when's the last time you and I, talking about old guy stuff, ended up at Perkins at 2:00 in the morning?
Not so much. Yeah.
I finally got to correct Bill. I feel so good.
Well, I wasn't necessarily saying it was you and I, but yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I had and I don't know if I've ever told this story before, but I think I probably have. When I was in high school, no. When I came home from college for the summer, I would get a job at a fast food place. I remember Arby's for some reason. And I would work at Arby's from like afternoon till close. So 5 till 10 or 5 till whenever, and 5 till 11. And then there was a local indoor tennis club before everybody even heard of pickle. So I would meet my friends and they had late night tennis. And for like $5, you could play from midnight until whenever. So we would play tennis at midnight, get all hot and sweaty and all that, take a shower. Then we would go to Perkins or IHOP or somewhere and drink coffee. It was time to go home when the sun was coming up and the morning newspaper would arrive, back when there were newspapers. And I would get home as my father was leaving for work. And he would sneer at me, but he knew. And I would sleep the day and repeat, go to work at 5 a.m. And that was my summer for a couple of, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I loved it. So anyway, that was probably the last time I was in a Perkins or a whatever, Bob's Big Boy at 2 a.m. or something like that. So,
well, I was in bands, like in high school.
Discussing the universe, figuring out the entire universe.
Yeah, I was like in bands in high school and, my young 20s. I don't know how many nights at 3:00 in the morning we'd be at one of the truck stops somewhere, stopping to get something to eat. And
yep.
I always liked it because when I was in a country band, going back to country music again.
Yes.
When I was in a country band, we had these outfits. We all looked alike and it had the sequins and stuff.
Oh,
it would never fail. We would stop at a truck stop, because, we weren't, big name where we flew or anything. We were driving the van. We were driving the van back home.
Right.
It'd be 2:00 in the morning. The waitress would always say the same thing. Are you guys in a band? I'd always say, no, we're all 5 lovers.
What do you think? We're in a band. Yes, we're in a band. Wow.
Yeah, we wear these sequence jackets and look all alike because we love each other.
That's see, nowadays that would not raise an eyebrow, but back then it probably did a little bit. Absolutely.
The most fun I ever had, and I may have told this story before, because back in the day, Bobby Heenan was in wrestling, and they lived in Chicago, and that was like, because back in the old days, it wasn't like the WWE where they go all across the country. They were different little pockets
Right. Little
of
regional
wrestlers.
things. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, if you were in the Midwest, you knew, the Chicago wrestlers because,
Yeah.
you watched them all. So we're in a truck stop about 2 o'clock in the morning. Who walks in but Bobby Heenan?
Mm.
And so he was in there before us, and I go, look at that. That's Bobby Heenan. I saw some wrestlers over there. And I don't know
Right.
why. I must have had one too many to drink that night or something. And I remember, look over there, it's Bobby Heenan. Hey, Bobby, you don't look so tough. And all of a sudden, he stood up and he came over to our table, and I hid under the table. And then they left.
He don't look so tough until he stands up at 6'5" of all muscle. Yeah, I get it. So
I
yeah,
don't know. That was back in the old days of wrestling. It was all about being big. It wasn't about being muscular back
right.
in
Just
those
big.
days.
Just big. Yeah. Yeah. No, I went into a Denny's. I went into a Denny's at like 2 a.m. in Cleveland once, and there was one of the Cleveland Browns football players in there. I forget who it was, but boy, yeah, same thing. I mean, just a gigantic guy. I mean, it's like,
Yeah, but you didn't try to
hey.
fight him, I'll bet.
No, are you kidding? I probably had just watched him Sunday on TV dismantling somebody, somewhere. So yeah, no, I'm not. No, that's fine. So all good. Yeah, I mean, the things that happen in like Waffle House at 2 a.m, it's like Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It's, you're never hearing about that stuff again. Thankfully. Yeah. Oh man. I remember though, sitting there drinking coffee all night. And if you were really good, maybe you'd have breakfast, or maybe you'd have like a piece of pie or something like that. And then the girl would come by and I would tell her, don't even ask. Just keep refilling the coffee. Don't even ask.
Oh, no. I was in bands. We ate.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we did, but yeah, that was,
Yeah,
and then,
we'd played a
and
gig
then,
somewhere all night. We were driving home. We were hungry. We were tired.
right,
We would
right,
eat.
right.
Try to wake us up
Yeah.
to go the rest of the way home.
try. So you could be awake enough to drive home and then fall asleep. Yeah, that was never a good combination there, but that's the way it worked. I understand completely.
One last story.
I'm listening.
Because I know we're running out of time here.
Yeah, you got 8 minutes.
So I'm probably 18, 19, maybe 20 years old. I'm a man. You know what I mean? I'm a man.
You're a man.
I'm a man. So I'm dating a girl who's like probably 16 years old.
Okay.
And she went to the gig.
Okay. 16. That's not quite legal, but okay.
Maybe I wasn't 8. Man, I was probably, because she was still in school. I was probably like, well, I was 4 years older than her.
Let's just say it was a long time ago and
a long
things have
time
been
ago.
forgotten.
In a land far, far away.
Yes.
So the van broke down.
Of course.
We got a flat tire or something. We had all this equipment in it.
Of course.
So we had to unload it. And we get to my girlfriend's house and I go, I'll go in, I'll explain to your parents, everything. So I go in and they're fast asleep. And she even takes me into their bedroom and I wake them up. And I apologize for bringing her home so late. We had a flat tire. They go, oh, that's okay. Things happen. Okay. Good night.
You woke them up?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to, I didn't want to.
I understand. Nowadays, that results in gunfire.
I know, but it didn't that night, thank God.
Good thing.
But here comes the good part.
No, there's a good part.
Oh, yeah, this is the good part. So this is like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. It's like the sun's coming up, like you said. Sun's coming up.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
I get home.
Yes.
My mother and father are setting up, going, where have you been?
Of course.
Why are you just getting home? Do you know what? I go, I just dropped off my 16-year-old girlfriend and they were in bed and I was fine and I didn't even get in trouble or nothing. I walked into my own house and now I'm getting in trouble.
I never met your parents, but I think I would have loved them.
Something's not right with this picture.
I hear you.
I'm 8. Maybe I was 7. I don't know, but whatever it was, dang on it.
You were
I should have
almost
my
legal.
parents waiting up for me saying, "Where have you been all night?"
That's hilarious. That's awesome. Yeah, no, nobody woke. I mean, I wasn't in a band, so I wasn't out, traveling the countryside, but I came home plenty late many a time, and there were plenty of times I'm sure that I would come home and the whole house was asleep, and I was, except for the damn dog, of course. I had to let everybody know that I was home. But yeah,
Yeah, that
not a
always
lot of that. Not a lot, but some, I'm sure, some. Yeah. That's awesome. That is awesome. So it always amazes me that we've done this show for 2 years plus now, and the new stories keep on coming. It's
Wait for the book.
All right, folks, we're just about done, except we do want to take a minute or two to talk about BJ Odom. We had huge news last week, by the way, in case you missed it. BJ Odom has finally found someone to help write his memoir, his book. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it's all because of somebody who he found through his podcast. Yes?
Yes. His contract is signed.
The contract has been signed, so expect that sometime soon. But in the meantime, tune in to BJ Odom and the Gift of Life podcast. Anything special coming up on that?
You know what?
Yes.
And it's funny that you mentioned that today because I just talked to a gentleman. Well, actually, I'm going to call him when our podcast is done.
Right.
I'm cruising Facebook, before we do our podcast.
Right.
A comedian friend of mine posted, "I need a heart transplant."
Wow.
And so all these people started commenting, and so I commented. And of course, he texted me right away because we've worked together before.
Right.
Because he's a comedian. I'm going, is this a joke or is this serious? Then I started reading everybody's, comments. And I think, well, I don't think you'd be having everybody worry about him if this isn't true. So I reached out to him and I'm going to call him when I get off the air, we get off doing the podcast here. And I'm thinking about saying, hey, I know this is new to you and maybe he won't want to. But I'm going to offer this to him because he wants to talk to me and ask me questions.
Sure.
And I'm going to say, do you mind if we record this? And I use it as part of my podcast, Gift of Life, the organ transplant podcast. Someone asking me questions who just found out themselves are going to need a heart transplant.
Right.
I think it might make for an interesting show. So
I'm sure
I'm actually going to give him a call like right after we get done here.
You're kind of like the transplant OG.
Yeah.
You're the guy. You got it. You've been on this for 20 plus years. You're all over this. That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And maybe you help him to, well, I don't know. It's not going to help him find the heart that he needs because he's going to have to. Where does he live? Do you know?
He lives over in the Tampa area, and he's probably going to. He's just found out he's going to need it.
Okay.
And he hasn't really done any of the testing. He hasn't done any. He hasn't went any further except for him doctor saying, you need a heart transplant.
So he's not like on the list. He's not on the list yet.
Not yet. So he doesn't know if he's going to go to Tampa or if he was going to go to Jacksonville, because I guess Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville. Someone suggested that to him. I said, hey, as long as you're in the Tampa area, you should probably go to TGH. But we're going to talk when we get done with this.
I think that's awesome.
And whether I'll record it or not, I don't know, because he may say, no, I don't want to record it. I just want to ask you questions.
I can't see how it would hurt, but you're right. Either way, but you'll be a good resource to him. So that's a good thing. Awesome. Glad to hear it. So there you go.
And you got your podcast.
The Practical Path, a podcast for personal and spiritual growth with our friend Vicki Wagner, a good friend of the show here and all of that. So yes, those come out Thursday mornings, and we've been kind of focused on motivation a lot the last couple of weeks. We've been talking because I have had zero. I admit it. I just getting out of bed to do this podcast with BJ Odom. I always love it and enjoy it, but the alarm goes off, and it's like, and it's not super early either, I want to say. So yeah, there's been a lot of talk of motivating oneself and, getting your act in gear and all of that stuff. So anyway, tune in for The Practical Path, a podcast for personal and spiritual growth. And you'll find all of those, by the way. You'll find the BJ and Bill podcast. You'll find The Gift of Life and The Practical Path, all of them at thepodcastplayground.com. If you have to find them somewhere. I mean, you can always look them up on Apple or Spotify, but if you're out there surfing the web, thepodcastplayground.com.
Yeah, it's a good company.
We got to give a plug to the boss there. Yeah.
I have stock in the company.
Yes, you do. Yes, you.
Because let me tell you, my stocks went to hell in a handbasket over the weekend.
And my crypto went to hell in a handbasket over the weekend. So yeah, it's been, that's something we don't really talk politics on this show, but it'll be interesting to see how our new president, who doing his best bull in a china shop imitation, how that all shakes out. So we'll see. I don't know, but he's just he's not messing things up. But he's breaking things now. and I'm not saying that in a bad way. Some things need to be broken. And so, but is he doing it the right way? Time will tell. Who knows? So anyway, that's that. Last minute thoughts. You good?
I'm good because I don't want to get in trouble.
I don't either. So yeah, let's just keep our eyes on the ball and see what happens here. All right, everybody, have yourself a great week. Go out now. By the time when we come back next week, we will have the full Super Bowl report. So looking forward. Go Eagles. Go. I can't even stand that I have to say that.
I don't know. I'm still torn. I'm a Swiftie. I'm sorry.
I understand you're a Swiftie. I have a great tweet that I saw on X last night. I'm going to send it to you as soon as we get done with the recording here. So anyway, enjoy your Super Bowl. Enjoy your week. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week. But until then, just up to BJ Odom to say,
see ya.